Welcome to LSB Feaster's Radio Aircheck and Classic TV channel.
Fast track reclaim. Text Jess to 82727.
Crystal Palace,
Downing Street,
Heathrow Airport,
the Old Bailey,
the Mall. On your radio, on your phone, and here.
Play LBC London News.
From Global, this is LBC London News. This is LBC London News.
It's Tuesday the 14th of August. You're listening to Jim Diamond live from Leicester Square, and just a mile or so down the road from where we are broadcasting now, a man has been arrested. A car has crashed into security barriers outside the Houses of Parliament. They got the call, officers, at 7:37 this morning. We understand a number of pedestrians are injured. None of the injuries are life-threatening at this stage. The investigation at the moment has not been identified as being a terror investigation. It's too early for that to even be suggested, but eyewitnesses are giving descriptions and talking about the speed at which the vehicle was travelling before it came to a stop, and where, of course, it did stop. And in fact, looking at some of the images coming into the LBC London News Centre, when that vehicle did stop in the area, it was crumpled at the front and there was smoke coming out of it, and as a precaution, people were moving back. And the latest images coming in, I can see that it does appear that a number of people were injured either on bikes or pedestrians who were crossing the road, or cyclists, at the time that car did come to a stop. In fact, new images are coming in to the LBC London News Centre that would indicate that there are, as police have said, a number of people injured. Let's get more now from James. He was cycling in the area at the time.
There was clearly a cyclist on the floor injured, with other people surrounding that, and several cyclists off their bikes. I can only remember one cyclist being down. It was on the other side of the road. An ambulance then turned up and they were clearly trying to attend to the person there.
The area's on lockdown, armed police swarming the scene. We know that a suspect wearing a black puffer jacket, when surrounded by officers, led away in handcuffs from a silver-coloured Ford vehicle. Lots of eyewitnesses telling us what they saw. A number of pedestrians are injured. Loads of police in the area. Cordons up. You cannot get anywhere near the area of Parliament Square. Sniffer dogs are also at the scene. Scotland Yard telling this programme at this stage, officers do not believe that anybody's in a life-threatening condition. Westminster Tube Station is closed. The Houses of Parliament are surrounded with security barriers of steel and concrete after the attack that happened on the Westminster Bridge around the corner back in March of 2017. Now our political editor Theo Usherwood is at the scene in the area.
I've just walked round to the other side of the police cordon. That's the Lambeth Bridge, and looking down towards College Green, that's where you see MPs and other figures during the budget giving speeches. And we've got two large fire engines here. Again, three of those blacked out BMW fast responder armed response cars, and firefighters appear to have been trying to get access to the vehicle. Now, witnesses are saying that a man was led away in handcuffs shortly after the incident happened from the vehicle itself, which crashed into the black steel barriers that line the entrance, which were actually introduced after Khalid Masood back in March last year caused carnage on Westminster Bridge, and then managed to walk into New College Yard in the Palace of Westminster itself and stabbed PC Keith Palmer so tragically. So it appears, at least at first glance, that those protection measures have worked, have stopped this being a worse terrorist attack than it might otherwise. We haven't yet had that confirmed that it's a terrorist attack, but a worse attack than it might otherwise have been.
All right, for now, thank you very much to Theo Usherwood for that update on LBC London News. A man's been arrested. A silver Ford vehicle crashing into security barriers outside the Houses of Parliament, and it appears before it came to a halt to that vehicle, depending on which eyewitness you are listening to, a number of people injured, perhaps some cyclists, but the police are saying that pedestrians have been hurt in this case. What we're going to do in just a couple of moments is we're going to hear more eyewitness accounts, but let's go to another reporter. Tom Parmente is in the area.
Pretty big. This area of Westminster completely closed off now by the emergency services. A lot of armed police involved in the operation. Initially focusing obviously around that vehicle that had crashed into the barriers at 7:37 this morning. The witnesses that we've been speaking to here are in no doubt, a lot of them saying they believe that it was deliberately driven into the barriers at the Houses of Parliament, that this was not just a simple road traffic accident, someone losing control of their car, that this was a deliberate act. According to the witnesses that we have spoken to, the police have said that nobody is in a life-threatening situation, but there are a number of pedestrians who have suffered injuries. We don't know how many at this stage or the severity of those injuries, but good news at least that there is no one in a life-threatening situation. We know that the driver of that car was arrested at the scene quite soon after the crash and was led away. People who saw it told us that he didn't seem particularly agitated, he was quite calm, he wasn't really saying anything. And then what we've seen over the course of the last hour or so is just this cordon being established. We were pushed right back from the initial cordons that were quite close to the Houses of Parliament. We were told in no uncertain terms we needed to get back right the way along Millbank here to Lambeth Bridge, so quite a distance, if you know this part of London, from where the incident is actually unfolding. But the police wanting to make sure that they can investigate and work out what they're dealing with, and the nature of the response, I think, is probably quite understandable given the location of where this has taken place.
Thank you very much to Tom Parmenter for that update here on LBC London News. Also getting more reaction now on the programme from the ambulance service, and we have heard the following. They were called at 7:40 this morning to reports of an incident on St Margaret Street, SW1. We sent a number of resources to the scene, including 3 ambulance crews, responders in cars, and an incident response officer. We have treated 2 people at the scene for injuries that are not believed to be serious, and have taken them to hospital. So that's the very latest from the ambulance crews. 2 people treated, 2 people in hospital following the incident that's unfolding in Westminster. We're live from Leicester Square. Coming up, we're going to have more reaction to the story, hearing from an eyewitness speaking to our political editor.
Next, more news for London. LBC London News.
SAP Concur does what might seem impossible for your business. It makes employees happy and finance happy. How? Well, employees love automated expense claims and invoices they can submit and approve from anywhere. And finance loves that they have full visibility into employee spend. Plus, SAP Concur integrates with leading finance systems, making the process better for everyone. SAP Concur. Expense, travel, invoice. Learn more at concur.co.uk.
Oh, it's great to see everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't beat a good picnic.
Your local Co-op's latest summer deal is 3 for 2 on selected picnic food, including Scotch eggs, mixed olives and feta, coleslaw and many more.
When I said we'd all go out to eat, I meant it.
Varieties are stocked, cheapest item free.
Your future is here. The Global Academy, a forward-thinking state school for 14 to 19-year-olds interested in a media career. Visit globalacademy.com to find out more.
This is LBC London News, 11 minutes after 9. Let's go live to the travel centre because of the incident in Westminster. Lots of traffic problems, Harry Fell.
Yeah, there are, Jim. So, in Westminster, Parliament Square's shut, as is Whitehall, Millbank, Victoria Street, Great George Street and Westminster Bridge, all because of that police investigation Jim mentioned just a second ago. Very slow south of the river and in central London, so Mayfair's very busy right now, Piccadilly, Vauxhall, Waterloo and Lambeth area. It's really just not very good if you're central or south of the river. Also not being helped by the fact there's a closure on Victoria Embankment as well. In the city, Goswell Road and Aldersgate Street are closed between Barbican Tube Station and Fan Street because a crane that was on the move earlier on hit a footbridge. Very slow southbound on the A1 Barnet Way right now. Delays are around 20 minutes between Stirling Corner and the A41. St Mildred's Road in Lee, that's much slower than usual this morning. Delays of around half an hour between Clifton's Roundabout and Verdant Lane. On the M4, it's very heavy going westbound near Junction 2 for Brentford because a van's broken down and is blocking a lane on the entry slip road. It's struggling in both directions on the M25 between Junction 26, Waltham Abbey and 27 for the M11. That's because the outside lane's closed each way for emergency repair works to the central reservation after a crash happened there on Saturday night. And on public transport, Westminster Tube Station is interchange only right now, so no entry or exit because of that police investigation on the square. Keeping you moving on LBC London News, I'll have more in 10.
Next, more news for London. LBC London News.
Buying a new car can be a haunting experience. Is there enough room for the little monsters? Will it be devilishly expensive to run? Will I be haunted by the price? Well, from only $9,995, the all-new Dacia Duster gives you the freedom to get what you want with none of the ghoulies. Dacia, you do the maths. Participating dealers only.
This is LBC London News.
Yeah, we're interrupting all programming to bring you the very latest that we can now, live from Leicester Square, of what is happening down the road at Parliament Square. Met Police confirming a man has been arrested. A car has crashed into security barriers outside the Houses of Parliament at 7:37 this morning. Armed officers surrounded that vehicle. Within about 60 seconds, a man removed from the vehicle, taken away in cuffs. What we do know is that 2 people have been treated in hospital by the London Ambulance Service. Their injuries are not life-threatening. At this stage, we do not know whether this is being treated as a terrorist incident or something less sinister. But eyewitnesses are telling us and describing what they saw, and understandably, because of where this happened, are the authorities not taking any chances. Our political editor, Theo Usherwood, is down at the scene for us on LBC London News and spoken to eyewitness Jason.
I believe it hit a cyclist. That's why, and I've seen people on the road, lying on the road. So I don't know if he's actually hit these people or if they've just dived to escape. I don't know.
But to clarify, for you felt the car was going fast and it was deliberate.
Yes, definitely, 100%. Yes.
Just explain. Sorry, I'm coming late to this. What exactly? My name's Theo Usherwood from LBC Radio.
Sorry, mate. Jason Williams.
Jason Williams.
Thank you very much.
Jason, what did you just? Let me just take this out. So I've got it. Jason, just very quickly, what exactly did you see?
Right, okay. Sorry.
Don't worry, I realise it's been a long day.
Yeah, okay, I've seen a vehicle hit a bollard. Am I looking at you or I don't know, I'm looking at you. Okay, yeah, right. I've seen a vehicle hit a bollard at outside Parliament, House of Parliament. A dark vehicle, looked like a fairly big car, maybe BMW, Mercedes, I'm not sure. The guy looked like Mediterranean or Asian. Hit the vehicle. Police on the scene quickly. Specialist police, I'm saying, have come. I've seen in the space of minutes here, I'm talking about a space of 5-10 minutes, I've seen vehicles coming from Lambeth Bridge, because I'm standing here, coming from Lambeth Bridge, and they've cut through the blue lights. Yeah, I've seen 5 X5s, police, marked cars. Yeah, and this is what happened, and they've made an arrest.
Did you see the guy being led away?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's like I said, he looks about 35 to 40.
In handcuffs? Just or surrounded by officers?
Surrounded by officers. Yeah. It's arrested him. Yeah.
And what did you see in terms of carry on? What else did you see? In terms of the injured?
Yeah, in terms of injured, I've seen look like a cyclist, and there's 2 ambulances, at least 2 ambulances, maybe 3. There's fire engines. There's smoke coming from a vehicle. Police not saying anything, but I don't believe it's a bomb because I haven't heard any explosion.
Sorry, there was an interruption in there. Did you see, in terms of victims, what did you see, sir? Sorry, there was somebody who was interrupted.
Right, I've seen a cyclist, injured cyclist. I've seen people, about 10 general public on the road, lying down. I haven't seen any fatalities. I wouldn't know.
Were there a lot of paramedics on the scene, sir?
Yes, a lot. Yeah, really a lot. Paramedics. There was 2-3 what do you call it, ambulances. Yeah.
And the injured cyclist, how could you tell he was injured? What was injured?
I mean, he was lying and his foot, he didn't get up, and he was leaning on his bike, and he looked in pain. Yeah, I was right there. Yeah.
And did it look like a deliberate act?
Yes, it did look like a deliberate act, unfortunately.
And you were just walking on the other side of the road when it happened?
I was on the side, the same side. Yeah.
Must be shaken up, huh?
Sorry?
Shaken up.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, I need a coffee or something. But,
Was it frightening where people would have likely been taken for emergency treatment?
It was shocked. I was shocked. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was frightened because it wasn't coming towards me. If it was coming towards me, I would have been more scared. Yeah.
So you were told to run away though by the police?
I was told to move, get out of here, So I started to run. Yeah, I wasn't.
And the vehicle was coming away from Parliament, is that right?
All over.
It was driving down, it was facing this direction towards...
He went towards, yeah.
But at the moment the message is to stay.
I believe it's coming from what's it called?
Westminster Bridge.
Westminster Bridge, yeah. Not Downing Street side,
yeah.
Westminster Bridge, yeah.
And it was driving towards this direction, towards Lambeth Bridge.
He was driving all I saw him driving towards as the Parliament. I didn't know.
He was purposely mounting the pavement.
Sorry?
He was purposely mounting the pavement.
Yes, he hit the bollard. The bollards. He hit the bollard.
Okay, different eyewitness accounts there. That's Jason telling us what he saw. Let's get a view now from Andy Trotter, who was, of course, one of the most high-profile figures in terms of the British Transport Police, over 45 years in the role of policing. So he knows one or two things about how the investigation will be dealt with and unfolding. Here is his view.
They'll be working very closely with the Met. You know, they've very, very well rehearsed procedures, particularly, as you say, for this part of London, which is densely populated with police officers, with CCTV cameras. And they'll have worked on many, many scenarios between the three police forces of London, with the City of London Police as well. And they'll be obviously making sure Westminster Tube is safe and secure. I understand tubes are still going through and interchange is still happening there, but you can't get in or out. And there'll be security around St James's Park and other places as well. So the idea is to keep London running, whilst at the same time making sure the scene is absolutely secure for what will be an extensive investigation during the rest of the day. There'll be intelligence coming in all the time, and patrols will be varied according to that intelligence, but quite clearly, as a matter of reassurance to the public, to making sure we've got as many police officers there as possible to ensure the scene is secure and that people can move about normally. They'll be doing their very best to get more and more officers to the scene to make sure that everything goes as smooth as it should do. There'll be a goal group sitting immediately, and one of the aspects of it will to return to normality. That's one of those things towards the end of the agenda, when you've gone through everything else, that, okay, when do we get London back on the move? When do we reopen roads and things such as that? That'll be part of, unfortunately, we have huge experience of this over the years, but that's a very important part of making sure that the capital can keep working.
Former BTP officer Andy Trotter speaking there. London Ambulance Service confirming it has treated two people at the scene of what has been unfolding by the Houses of Parliament for injuries that are not believed to be serious, not life-threatening. Nonetheless, a lot of concern, the heightened police presence and activity ongoing in the area of Westminster. To recap, if you're just joining us here on LBC London News, Metropolitan Police telling this programme a man has been arrested after a car has crashed into security barriers outside the Houses of Parliament. It happened at 7:37 this morning. The vehicle, a silver Ford vehicle, a lone person inside that car led away in handcuffs. He was wearing a black puffer jacket. We don't know any more details about the age or who the driver was. Eyewitnesses telling us various things, including we can hear from Donovan Parsons, who was conducting an interview on College Green, which is really nearby at the time.
Well, we were doing lives for ITV on Abingdon Green, and I just ran across, when we heard the bang, we saw two guys running down past Parliament, so we thought, right, let's go up and see what's happening. And I started shooting, and there was a car that had hit the barrier, a silver car, which smoke was coming out of. And while we were filming, all the police were there was a bus static there as well. And then 6 4x4s shot past us, and armed police jumped out and jumped over the barrier, and they were pointing in the car, and they looked like they were pulling someone from the vehicle. And then they started moving us back, and then we've been pushed back to here by now.
And they had him under arrest when they pulled him from the vehicle?
I assume so. I mean, they were just dragging him out, but they were pointing guns in the car, so I assume they were treating it as suspicious of being taking all precautions, you know. So yeah, it was... It's been quite a hairy morning.
One eyewitness speaking to us there. Coming up, we're going to hear from the Deputy Chair of the Police and Crime Committee.
LBC London News.
Had a mortgage, loan or credit card? You could be owed thousands. The deadline for making a PPI claim has now been set. But don't worry if you're not sure if you've had PPI. At LA Claims, we'll check for free to see if you have. So go on, don't be off your trolley. Text WIN to 60012.
Said don't be off your trolley.
Come on, text us.
You should be checking, she's been checking too. We can see the best, so forget the rest. Text WIN to 60012.
Text WIN to 60012.
PPI, one question. Why have you still not checked if you're due a refund? Even if you don't know if you've had PPI, surely it's worth finding out. Fast Track Reclaim will check for PPI on every credit card, loan and mortgage you've ever had for free. So, what are you waiting for? Find out now. Text YES to 82727. That's YES to 82727.
Fast Track Reclaim. Text yes to 82727.
Because of the unfolding incident by Parliament Square, a car crashed into security barriers, there are lots of travel implications. LBC London News has updates every 10 minutes, and we're live to Harry Fell.
Thanks very much, Jim. Yep, so as you were mentioning, Parliament Square currently shut, as is Whitehall, Millbank, Victoria Street, Great George Street and Westminster Bridge. All approaches basically shut off or very, very slow and stationary. It's very slow in general in central and south London as a result of that closure. Areas affected are Piccadilly, Mayfair, general central London, Soho is affected as well. We've got Vauxhall, Waterloo, Lambeth area, and we've got Victoria and Blackfriars also affected right now. In the city, Goswell Road, that's closed northbound between Barbican Tube Station and Fan Street because a crane that was on the move hit a footbridge earlier on. Very slow southbound on the A1 Barnet Way right now. Delays are around 20 minutes between Stirling Corner and the A41. St Mildred's Road in Lee is much slower than usual right now. Delays between Clifton's roundabout and Verdon Lane are not good. There's about half an hour delays on those stretches right now. On the M4, it's very heavy going westbound near Junction 2 for Brentford because a van's broken down and is blocking a lane on the entry slip road, and it's really struggling in both directions on the M25 between Junction 26 for Waltham Abbey and 27 the M11 because the outside lane's closed each way for emergency repair works to the central reservation after a crash happened there on Saturday night. And on public transport, Westminster Tube Station is interchange only, so no exit or entry because of that police investigation we mentioned just a minute ago. Keeping you moving on LBC London News, I'll have more in 10.
This is LBC London News.
Since our first car hit the road in 1898, Renault has always used the latest innovations to make driving more enjoyable. And for our 120th anniversary, we're going to make things just that little bit easier by giving you £500 off the list price. Come and celebrate 120 years with us. Visit your nearest Renault dealer between the 17th and 27th of August for an extra £500 off your new Renault. Test drive and order by October 1st and register by December 31st, 2018. Excludes Zoe and Renault Sport. Retail customers only at participating dealers. T's and C's apply. Visit Renault.co.uk/drive.
We are here every day and every night of every year. From newborn to old age. We never panic. We take a pulse, agree a plan, make a cuppa. We're doing our rounds, making our visits. We are Michelle, Adam, Alfie, Frankie, Yvonne. And at 3:49 this morning, we were Maisie too. We are the NHS and we are recruiting now. Search nursing careers.
This is LBC London News.
Now, the Met Police at 9:25 confirming that counter-terrorism command is leading the investigation into what is unfolding in Westminster this morning. If you're just joining us, this is what we know so far. We can tell you that at 7:37 this morning, a car crashed into security barriers outside the Houses of Parliament. 2 people are injured. None of their injuries are life-threatening, we're told, but 2 people have been taken to hospital. Armed police were on the scene within about 60 seconds, surrounding the vehicle, pointing their weapons inside that car, and a man arrested, taken away in handcuffs. Let's bring you more on this story now on LBC London News. Of course, as we get it, we're going to be letting you know about exactly how this happened in due course, but the Met's Counter-Terrorism Command, as I say, are the ones who are leading the investigation into this. Let's bring in and speak now live to Unmesh Desai, who's the London Assembly Deputy Chair of Police and Crime Committee. Morning, and thanks for your time.
Good morning.
Obviously, first of all, your reaction.
Well, as I understand, 2 people have been injured.
My thoughts are with them and their families. I'm glad to hear that the injuries, as you report, are not life-threatening. It is obviously very concerning as to what has happened, but it's too early to speculate as to the reason behind this collision. All we know is that there was a car in collision with barriers. The counter-terrorist police, as you report, are investigating. But we are at a very, very, very early stage of the investigation, and it would be foolish to speculate. All I would say is that whoever saw this particular incident took pictures, should forward relevant images obtained through social media or any other information they have to police investigating.
Have you been in touch with the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, and if so, what's he saying?
Well, no, not yet. But I'm sure that knowing Sadiq and his office, I'm sure he has been in touch with the Metropolitan Police. But I personally have not spoken to him.
What do you say to reassure Londoners who may be feeling rather worried and nervous?
Well, as I say, we must remain calm, united, and work with the police. We are at a very, very early stage of investigation, and to repeat, it would be foolish to speculate on the motive behind what's behind this collision. People should carry on with their normal business and let the police take care of the investigation.
And it must be noted about how quickly the police were on the scene and reacting.
For which they need to be commended. And I'm glad, as I say, 2 people have been injured. I'm glad to hear that the injuries are not life-threatening. Let us wish them a speedy recovery, and let us assist the Metropolitan Police with the work that they are doing.
We know that the Counter-Terrorism Command are leading the investigation, so obviously nobody wants to scupper what they're doing. But from your perspective in the Police and Crime Committee, will you be speaking to your colleagues?
Yes, I will, indeed. And I'll also be liaising with the Mayor's office as to what they are doing and to obtain more information. But as I say, as you report, the police have been very swift to react, and let us see how the investigation progresses. And in the meantime, let us give them all the help that they need.
Thank you for your time, and good to speak to you this morning under difficult circumstances, understandably. Umesh Desai, London Assembly Deputy Chair of the Police and Crime Committee. I have seen, in fact, that this morning the Sadiq Khan has been certainly keeping up to date with what the Met Police have been putting out on their social media. He's retweeted 3 of their messages this morning, one about the initial response to what has happened at 7:37 about the closure of Westminster Station, and the latest press release that has been issued from Scotland Yard detailing what exactly has happened. Plenty more to come on this story here and online.
LBC London News.
Ocean Credit Card.
Did you know if used responsibly, an Ocean Credit Card could help you improve your credit rating? It takes seconds to see if you'll be accepted and comes with a manageable credit limit of up to £1,500. There for when you need it. Go now to checkocean.co.uk. 39.9% APR representative variable. Intelligent Lending Limited is a credit broker. Capital One is the exclusive lender. Credit rating could be harmed if you don't manage it well.
Checkocean.co.uk.
Hi, my suitcase hasn't arrived. I've been waiting ages.
Let's check the system. Was it a direct flight?
Connecting, I stopped in Bangkok.
And before that?
Well, the Maldives and Dubai, Chile, Barbados. Oh, and there was Fiji.
Nicer problems to have. This Tuesday there's an £80 million jackpot. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Estimated jackpot. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Your future is here. The Global Academy, a forward-thinking state school for 14 to 19-year-olds interested in a media career. Visit globalacademy.com to find out more.
LBC London News, Tuesday morning, the 14th of August. Obviously, right now, our focus and attention is what's been happening in Westminster. The area on lockdown near to the Houses of Parliament. What's the latest at 9:31? Harry Fell.
Thanks, Jim. Parliament Square currently shut, as is Whitehall, Millbank, Victoria Street, Great George Street and Westminster Bridge because of that ongoing police investigation that Jim was mentioning just a minute ago. Very slow south of the river as a result in Vauxhall, Waterloo and the Lambeth areas, not being helped by the closure on Victoria Embankment as well. In the city, Goswell Road and Aldersgate Street are closed between Barbican Tube Station and Fan Street because a crane that was on the move earlier on hit a footbridge. Very slow southbound on the A1 Barnet Way right now. Delays are around 20 minutes between Stirling Corner and the A41. St Mildred's Road in Lee, that's slower than usual this morning between Clifton's Roundabout and Verdant Lane. That's got delays of around half an hour on that stretch right now. On the M4, it's very heavy going westbound near Junction 2 for Brentford because a van's broken down and is blocking a lane on the the entry slip road, and it's really struggling in both directions on the M25 between junction 26 for Waltham Abbey and 27 for the M11 because the outside lane's closed for emergency repair works. Keeping you moving on LBC London News. I'll have more in 10.
This is LBC London News.
Get your Ford ready for summer with an air conditioning refresh, 30-point check and fluid level top-up, all for just $29.99. That's the recommended retail price at participating dealers. Book now at ford.co.uk.
Terms, conditions and exclusions apply. See ford.co.uk/motorcraft for more information.
On the evening of Tuesday the 3rd, my husband and I were discussing how best to sell our house. I told him Purple Bricks make you do it all yourself. That was fake news. Purple Bricks can do everything from viewings to negotiating your sale. For this, I would like to apologise to my husband unreservedly. We request privacy at this difficult time. Thank you.
Oh dear. Save yourself from commisery at purplebricks.co.uk.
Fixed fee payable on instruction or after 10 months viewing service costs extra. See website for more details.
Get ready for summer with a Ford Summer Check for just $29.99. That's the recommended retail price at participating dealers. Book at ford.co.uk.
9:33 on LBC London News. A man has been arrested after a car crashing into security barriers outside the Houses of Parliament. It's one story that we are focusing on today, as you'd expect. We have had confirmation from Scotland Yard that the Met's counter-terrorism command is leading the investigation after what happened at 7:37 this morning. To give you a sense of where it is, if you know the area between Millbank and Parliament Square, right by the Houses of Parliament, just before College Green is St Margaret Street, there are security barriers in place, so there have been over the last year after what happened to the terror attack involving Khalid Massoud on Westminster Bridge, resulting in him being shot in the courtyard of the Palace of Westminster last year. Because of the people injured and the deaths that happened, 4 people died in that attack in 2017 on that bridge. Security barriers were installed along most of the bridges in the capital, but for quite some time, the black security barriers have been in place to protect the Parliament building. Now, that's obviously done its job, as you can tell from today, if indeed it was a deliberate act. The London Ambulance Service saying it's treated 2 people for injuries, which are not thought to be serious. Now, the Met's counter-terrorism command are leading the investigation, but they are not, at this stage, saying or indicating whether or not this is a terror-related attack. We just do know that 2 people have been injured. We can tell you that Westminster Tube Station closed for entry and exit, only the station open for interchange between lines. Jason Williams has told LBC London News he was walking to work when the crash happened.
I've seen a vehicle hit a bollard, a dark vehicle, looked like a fairly big car. The guy looked like Mediterranean or Asian. Police on the scene quickly, specialist police, I'm saying.
Huge cordons in place in the streets around Westminster following the crash. TfL keeping us up to date with their response. We also can tell you that the ambulance service sent a series of different crews to the scene. At the time, luckily no life-threatening injuries, but 2 people have been sent to hospital in light of what has happened. Plenty more reaction and analysis coming up here on LBC London News. Right, coming up here, we're going to have a look at what's happening briefly with the employment data that is out.
This is LBC London News.
Cruise. Voyage. Boat. Queen Mary 2. Snacks. Afternoon tea. Party. Gala ball. Memorable. Unforgettable. A voyage with Cunard. It doesn't just sound better.
Just look at these steaks and burgers. You really are king of the barbecue, eh?
Your local Co-op's latest deal is on barbecue favourites like British burgers, British rump steaks and Scottish salmon fillets. Any 3 packs for £10.
So could you be king of making sure everyone's got a drink then, bro?
Yeah. Subject to availability. See Co-op stores for details.
Booking a voyage? Step into another world at Cunard.com.
This is LBC London News.
Right now it is 9:36. Stammer will have the latest as the Counter-Terrorism Command's leading an investigation after a car crashing into security barriers outside Parliament this morning. More on that in just a couple of seconds here on LBC London News. Just hearing the latest so we can tell you with regard to unemployment, the number of people in work went up by 42,000, meaning that the number of people in a job, 32.3 million. That's according to the Office of National Statistics. We'll get data in as well on average earnings in due course and the number of people out of work. We'll see if the trend has increased or not in terms of the last set of figures. But while we wait for that data to come into the LBC London News Centre, we'll recap the very latest that we can for you on our top story. And that is that an arrest has been made after a vehicle has crashed into barriers outside the House of Parliament this morning at 7:37. The area is on lockdown. There's been a multi-agency response. In fact, the Counter-Terrorism Command have used vehicles, lorries and other vans to block off the scene of where that car is. Obviously, they'll be looking at making sure they gather any evidence that is required. They will be appealing for anybody that has any dashcam footage or was in the area at the time and might have filmed something that could be of note to the investigation teams to make sure that they pass that data on. 2 people, we understand, were treated at the scene in Westminster for injuries not thought to be serious. However, as a precaution, they've been taken to hospital. 3 ambulance crews, responders in a car and an instant response officer were called there. Just 3 minutes after the initial call happened to St Margaret Street in SW1. Scotland Yard are keeping an open mind to the motive, but weren't taking any chances. Seconds after that vehicle crashed into a barrier, literally within about a minute or so, we saw the BMW armed response vehicles pulling up outside, next to it, and officers jumping the barriers with their rifles up and stationed and focused on the person inside the vehicle, and an arrest was made. The cordon of the closure area is pretty far and wide, as you would expect it to be in light of what has happened. We're going to hear more eyewitness accounts coming away on LBC London News in due course. Let's bring you another update here. We can hear on LBC London News from Andy Trotter, who had a long, colourful career in the British Transport Police, has since retired, but given an idea of exactly what will happen next.
They'll be working very closely with the Met. You know, they've very, very well rehearsed procedures, particularly, as you say, for this part of London, which is densely populated with police officers, with CCTV cameras, and they'll have worked on many, many scenarios between the 3 police forces of London, with the City of London Police as well. And they'll be obviously making sure Westminster Tube is safe and secure. I understand tubes are still going through and interchange is still happening there, but you can't get in or out.
That is correct, and we'll have a travel update in just a couple of moments here on LBC London News. It's Tuesday morning, and a Westminster car incident unfolding on the 14th of August. 2 people have been injured, and they have been taken to hospital. Their injuries are not life-threatening, and a man has been arrested outside the Houses of Parliament earlier this morning. No more further details about him just yet.
The Tower of London,
Paddington Station,
the Palace of Westminster,
Victoria Park,
Haymarket, on your radio, on your phone, and here.
Play LBC London News.
From Global, this is LBC London News.
From Global's newsroom, it's 9:40. Good morning, I'm Jim Diamond. Scotland Yard say the Met's Counter-Terrorism Command is leading the investigation right now after a car crashing into security barriers outside the Houses of Parliament. It happened on St Margaret Street just after 7:30 this morning. A male driver has been arrested. The London Ambulance Service telling this programme it has treated 2 people for injuries and they're not thought to be serious. Jason Williams was walking by when it happened.
I've seen a vehicle hit a bollard, a dark vehicle, looked like a fairly big car. The guy looked like Mediterranean or Asian. Police on the scene quickly, specialist police, I'm saying.
A huge cordon is in place right now. The area is still on lockdown, and TfL saying Westminster Tube Station is closed. Joanne Webb will have an update for you on that in just a couple of moments. Plus, we're going to monitor the latest coming out in terms of the unemployment figures today.
I'm Joanne Webb with your latest weather for London. Lots of sunshine around today, but there will be some cloud as well, with highs of 24. I'll bring you a full 4-day forecast coming up.
A short time ago, the FTSE 100 was trading down 2 points at 76.40, and still to come, we will update you on the sport and hear about how Andy Murray is doing. Let's go to the travel centre now for an update from Joanne Webb.
Thanks, Jim. Well, long delays continue around Westminster, with Parliament Square, Whitehall and Millbank staying closed, especially over Vauxhall Bridge and Lambeth Bridges, because Westminster Bridge is closed. That leads straight into Parliament Square. There are long delays, though, all around the Strand and at Trafalgar Square, with Whitehall being closed as well. And Westminster Tube Station is also closed. Now, elsewhere, it's very busy on the M25 anti-clockwise between junctions 27 at the M11 and 26 at Waltham Abbey because of the ongoing emergency repair works. Delays on the North Circular Road in two places. Firstly, westbound from the 4th Street Tunnel to Arnos Grove because of the closure of Brownlow Road. That stays closed for those waterworks. Also on the North Circular Road, there are queues southbound to the Redbridge flyover because of the damaged manhole. And the A1 is closed northbound outside Barbican Tube Station. And that's because a mobile crane hit the footbridge much earlier on this morning. Keeping you moving on LBC London News. I'll have more in 10.
This is LBC London News.
With new BT Plus, you'll get our best connection whether you're using our fastest fibre speeds at home or extra 4G speed with double mobile data when you're out and about. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you won't miss a beat. New BT Plus, fibre and 4G together. Our best connection in and out the home. BT, be there.
Keep connected promise, extra speed 4G and double data on BT Mobile. Speed varies by location, coverage and demand.
Your future is here. The Global Academy, a forward-thinking state school for 14 to 19-year-olds interested in a media career. Visit globalacademy.com to find out more.
There's no telling what your dog will get up to next. Make sure they're protected with Pets in a Pickle pet insurance. Go to petsinaapickle.co.uk.
This is LBC London News.
9:43 Tuesday morning. Jim Diamond at breakfast, and the Counter-Terrorism Command is leading the investigation after a car crashing into security barriers outside Parliament at 7:37 this morning. In the process before it struck those black barriers on St Margaret's Place, 2 people were knocked down. We know their injuries are not life-threatening, but they have been taken to hospital as a precaution. Happened not far from the stone's throw from College Green, where, in fact, Donovan Parsons, a TV cameraman, was filming.
Well, we were doing lives for ITV on Abingdon Green, and I just ran across, when we heard the bang, we saw 2 guys running down past Parliament, so we thought, right, let's go up and see what's happening. And I started shooting, and there was a car that had hit the barrier, silver car, which smoke was coming out of. And while we were filming, all the police were there was a bus static there as well. And then 6 4x4s shot past us, and armed police jumped out and jumped over the barrier, and they were pointing in the car, and they looked like they were pulling someone from the vehicle. And then they started moving us back, and then we've been pushed back to here. But now.
And they had him under arrest when they pulled him from the vehicle?
I assume so. I mean, they were just dragging him out, but they were pointing guns in the car, so I assume they were treating it as suspicious of being taking all precautions, you know. So yeah, it's been quite a hairy morning.
Well, a man has been arrested, as you have been hearing. No further details about him at this stage. We can also hear now from the London Assembly Deputy Chair of the Police and Crime Committee, Umesh Desai.
Well, as I understand, 2 people have been injured. My thoughts are with them and their families. I'm glad to hear that the injuries, as you report, are not life-threatening. Mm-hmm. It is obviously very concerning as to what has happened, but it's too early to speculate as to the reason behind this collision.